Welcome, everyone, to a massive, breaking, and highly anticipated update in the world of professional tennis. We are standing right at the precipice of one of the most intense, unforgiving, and exhilarating stretches of the tennis calendar. The clay courts of Paris have been swept away, the red dust has settled, and the tennis universe has now pivoted with breathtaking speed to the lush, pristine, and lightning-fast lawns of the European grass court season. And right at the absolute center of this dramatic seasonal shift is a headline that is sending shockwaves of excitement and anticipation to the international sports community, particularly in the Philippines and across Southeast Asia. The headline reads, loudly and clearly, "All of you are Germany." Alexandra Eala to play in qualifiers at the Berlin Tennis Open WTA 500 on June 13th. Today, we are going to unpack every single layer of this monumental development. This is not just a schedule update. This is a story of resilience, of strategic maneuvering, of immense physical endurance, and of a young, phenomenal athlete pushing herself to the absolute limit to secure her rightful place among the elite at the upcoming Wimbledon Championships. We're going to dive deep into exactly what it means for Alex Eala to step onto the grass courts of Berlin tomorrow, June 13th, the stakes involved, the grueling nature of the qualifying rounds, and the broader implications for her historic 2026 season. So, settle in, get comfortable, and prepare for a comprehensive breakdown of one of the most compelling narratives unfolding in women's tennis today. To truly understand the magnitude of this moment, we have to contextualize a phrase that has been echoing across fan forums and social media. All of you are Germany. This is not just a geographical statement. It is a declaration of where the absolute epicenter of the sporting world is right now. During this fleeting, glorious window between the French Open and Wimbledon, Germany becomes the ultimate battleground. The tournaments held here are not mere warm-ups. They are battle-tested crucibles. The Bet1 Open in Berlin, a prestigious WTA 500 event, is where the titans of the tour converge to test their footing, calibrate their timing, and sharpen their weapons on a surface that demands nothing short of perfection. Grass court tennis is a completely different beast compared to the slow, grinding rallies of clay or predictable bounce of hard courts. On grass, the ball stays exceptionally low, skidding off the surface with a vicious acceleration that punishes hesitation and rewards aggressive, first-strike tennis. It requires a massive adjustment in footwork. You cannot slide into your shots the way you do on clay. You must take rapid microscopic adjustment steps, bending at the knees to get on the ball, all while maintaining perfect balance on a surface that can be incredibly slippery and treacherous. And it is onto this demanding surface that Alexandra Eala will step on June 13th to compete in the qualifiers. Think about the physical and emotional whiplash this young superstar is currently experiencing. Just a few days ago, on June 7th, the 21-year-old Filipina sensation was lifting the trophy at the Lexus Birmingham Open, capturing her second career WTA 125 title in an absolute marathon of a match. She fought back from a set down against her former doubles partner, Nikola Bardankova, battling through blustery conditions, overcoming early double faults, and saving crucial break points to secure a spectacular 5-7, 6-3, 7-5 victory. That match lasted 2 grueling hours and 38 minutes. It was a masterclass in mental fortitude, a testament to her refusal to surrender even when her primary weapons, like her typically reliable first serve, were initially misfiring. She was crowned the champion, holding the trophy high, acknowledging the crowd, and cementing her status as a genuine threat on the grass. But the professional tennis tour is a relentless, unforgiving machine that allows zero time for complacency or extended celebration. Almost immediately after that triumph in Birmingham, Eala had to pack her bags, transition from the high of a championship victory, and travel to London for the Queen's Club Championships, where she faced a tough defeat at the hands of her good friend and formidable American opponent, Iva Jovic, in the round of 16. That abrupt shift from the ultimate victory to a sudden exit is the harsh reality of the WTA Tour. It is a constant pendulum swinging between triumph and reset. And now, she must completely flush that defeat from her system, recalibrate her mindset, and physically transport herself to Germany for the Berlin Open. This brings us to the crucial date, June 13th, the qualifiers. For those who might not be deeply entrenched in the daily mechanics of the tennis tour, playing the qualifiers of a WTA 500 event is an absolute gauntlet. Eala, who has been hovering around a career-high ranking of world number 29 and currently sits at number 33, is right on the bubble of automatic main draw entries, depending on specific cutoff dates and the immense depth of the field. Berlin is notorious for attracting a historically stacked lineup. We are talking about a tournament where newly crowned French Open champion Mira Andreeva, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, and world number 2 Elena Rybakina are all lying in wait in the main draw. It is a field so dense with top-tier talent that players who would normally be seeded in smaller tournaments are forced to fight for their lives in the qualifying rounds just to earn a spot in the main event. For Eala, stepping onto the court for the June 13 qualifiers means she has to navigate a minefield of hungry, dangerous opponents who are all desperate for the ranking points and the prestige of a main draw appearance in Berlin. The qualifying draw of a WTA 500 is often harder than the late stages of a WTA 250 event. Every single player she faces will be a seasoned professional capable of serving aces, hitting unreturnable winners, and exploiting the slightest dip in concentration. Eala will not have the luxury of easing her way into the tournament. She will have to hit the ground sprinting, utilizing her lethal left-handed forehand and her remarkably stable two-handed backhand from the very first point. She will need to rely on the explosive power generated from her core and legs, dictating play, stepping inside the baseline, and taking time away from her opponents. But why is Berlin so incredibly vital for Alexandra Eala right now? Why put her body through the ringer of a brutal qualifying campaign just days after a grueling title run in Birmingham and a subsequent tournament in London? The answer lies in the complex, high-stakes mathematics of the WTA ranking system and the looming shadow of the most prestigious tournament in the world, the Championships Wimbledon. Currently sitting at number 33 in the world, Eala is agonizingly close to securing a seeded spot at Wimbledon. In a Grand Slam, there are exactly 32 seeds. Being seeded is not just a badge of honor. It is a fundamental strategic advantage that can dictate the entire trajectory of a player's fortnight in London. If you are seeded, you are guaranteed not to face another seeded player, meaning the top 32 players in the world, until at least a third round. This allows you to build momentum, get accustomed to the specific nuances of the courts, and preserve your physical and mental energy for the second week of the major. However, if you are unseeded, you are thrown to the wolves. An unseeded player could theoretically draw world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka or grass court specialist Elena Rybakina in the very first round on center court. It is a terrifying prospect that can end a Grand Slam dream before it even truly begins. Right now, with American player Haley Baptiste out due to injury, Eala is effectively sitting inside that top 32 bubble. But the WTA rankings are a rolling 52-week system, meaning you are constantly defending points you earned exactly 1 year prior. And this is where the pressure reaches a boiling point, right around the seeding cutoff date for Wimbledon, which falls shortly after the Berlin Open. Eala is set to lose a massive 163 ranking points stemming from her phenomenal run to the final of the Eastbourne Open last year. Those 163 points are a massive chunk of her ranking foundation. If she simply rests and does not play in Berlin, those points will evaporate from her total. Her ranking will plummet outside the top 32, and she will enter Wimbledon unseeded, completely at the mercy of the random draw. Therefore, Berlin is not just another tournament. It is a rescue mission for those points. She must perform. She must survive the June 13 qualifiers, fight her way into the main draw, and accumulate enough victories against the best players on the planet to offset the impending loss of her Eastbourne points. She needs to string together wins on the German grass to build an impenetrable fortress around her ranking. This is why the phrase, "all of you are Germany," is so poignant. The entire focus of her team, her coaches, her fans, and her own intense internal drive is hyper-focused on this specific stretch of geography. The courts of Berlin represent her gateway to a favorable position at Wimbledon. Every single forehand winner, every unreturned serve, every lung-busting sprint to retrieve a drop shot during these qualifiers on June 13th carries immense weight of Grand Slam implications. And let us take a moment to truly appreciate the phenomenal journey that has brought Alexandra Eala to this high-stakes pressure cooker. We are talking about a young woman who left her home in Quezon City, Philippines, to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain, dedicating her entire adolescence to the singular, obsessive pursuit of tennis greatness. She has carried the hopes and dreams of a basketball-crazed nation on her shoulders, introducing millions of Filipinos to the intricacies of the WTA Tour. She has broken barriers, becoming the highest-ranked Filipino player in the history of the sport, shattering ceilings that many thought were impenetrable. When she steps onto the grass in Berlin, she is not just playing for ranking points. She is continuing a historic legacy, proving that talent, relentless work ethic, and world-class coaching can forge a champion capable of going toe-to-toe with the traditional powerhouses of European and American tennis. The transition to the grass courts is notoriously difficult for players who grew up on clay or hard courts, yet Eala has shown a remarkable, almost preternatural affinity for the surface. The grass rewards players who can serve precisely, stay low, and flatten out their ground strokes. Eala's left-handed serve, naturally tailing away from the right-handed opponent's backhand in the ad court, becomes a lethal weapon on grass. It slides off the turf, refusing to bounce into the strike zone, forcing weak returns that she can immediately dispatch with a heavy, punishing forehand. Her movement, refined through years of brutal conditioning, allows her to navigate the slippery baseline with a dancer's grace and a sprinter's explosiveness. But the qualifiers in Berlin will test all of these physical attributes, while simultaneously subjecting her to an immense psychological examination. The mental toll of having to prove yourself match after match against opponents who have nothing to lose and everything to gain is staggering. This leads us deeply into our analysis of what we can expect to see on the courts of Berlin starting June 13th. When you examine the mechanics of a qualifying tournament at a 500-level event, you realize it is a completely distinct psychological environment from the main draw. In the main draw, the spotlight is bright, the stadiums are packed, and the atmosphere is electric. The qualifiers, however, are often played on the outer courts. The crowds are sparse, consisting mostly of die-hard tennis purists, coaches, and nervous family members. There is no Hawkeye technology on every single court. There is less pageantry, less glamour, and significantly more raw, unadulterated tension. It is a grind in the truest sense of the word. Players are fighting for their livelihoods, for the prize money that funds their travel, and for the ranking points that keep their careers alive. It is in this gritty, high-anxiety environment that Eala must summon the same championship mentality she displayed on the center court of Birmingham just days prior. She will need to employ a ruthless efficiency. In qualifying matches on grass, you cannot afford to have slow starts. The surface is too fast, and the breaks of serve are too rare to casually drop a first set and hope for a long, drawn-out comeback. In Birmingham against Bardenkova, she dropped the first set 5-7 after struggling with her first serve percentage and committing early double faults. She eventually found her rhythm, drastically improving her service statistics in the second and third sets, but repeating that pattern in the Berlin qualifiers could be fatal. She must come out of the locker room completely dialed in. Her toss needs to be perfect, her footwork needs to be crisp, and her intent needs to be unmistakably aggressive from the very first strike of the ball. If we look at her technical execution, the key to her success in Berlin will heavily depend on her return of serve. Grass court tennis is fundamentally dominated by the server. The ball skids through the court so quickly that defensive, blocking returns are often heavily penalized by the incoming player. Eala will have to utilize her exceptional hand-eye coordination to take the ball incredibly early, cutting off the angles and using the server's own pace against them. Her two-handed backhand, which is remarkably compact and powerful, will be a vital asset here. Unlike players with sweeping, looping backhands that require excessive time to set up, Eala can shorten her backswing, absorb the pace of a heavy serve, and redirect it down the line or cross-court with surgical precision. This ability to neutralize a big serve and immediately transition from defense to offense is what separates good grass court players from great ones. Furthermore, we must analyze potential tactical adjustments her coaching staff, including Joan Bosch and Alexandra Eala, will have implemented following her recent matches. Against Iva Jovic at the Queen's Club, where she fell 6-2, 6-2, Eala struggled against Jovic's high first serve win percentage and her ability to dominate the baseline exchanges. To succeed in Berlin, Eala must dictate the terms of engagement. She cannot allow her opponents to get comfortable and dictate the rallies. She needs to incorporate more variety. using the slice backhand to keep the ball even lower, dragging her opponents into the net with deceptive drop shots, and occasionally utilizing the serve and volley tactic to apply sudden, unexpected pressure. Grass is a surface that rewards bold, unconventional tactics. It rewards a player who is willing to take risks, to come to the net, to force the issue, rather than passively waiting for an unforced error. And let's talk about the field waiting for her as she successfully navigates the brutal gauntlet of the June 13 qualifiers. The Bet1 Open in Berlin is an absolute shark tank this year. If she secures her spot in the main draw, she is not stepping into a comfortable environment. She is stepping into a war zone populated by the absolute elite of the WTA Tour. Imagine the potential matchups. Imagine Alexandra Eala stepping onto the pristine grass of the Steffi Graf Stadion to face someone like Aryna Sabalenka, a player whose raw, terrifying power can overwhelm almost anyone on tour. Or imagine a tactical chess match against Elena Rybakina, whose flat, penetrating ground strokes and devastating serve make her a natural apex predator on grass. Or perhaps a clash with the rising teenage phenomenon Mira Andreeva, the newly crowned French Open champion who is riding an astronomical wave of confidence. These are the types of matches that define a career. These are the matches that Eala has spent thousands of hours in the gym and on the practice courts preparing for. A deep run in Berlin, starting from the grueling trenches of the qualifiers, would not just secure her a seated spot at Wimbledon. It would send a terrifying message to the rest of the locker room. It would declare that she is not just a participant on the tour, but a legitimate contender capable of navigating the most treacherous draws and dismantling top 10 players on the fastest, most demanding surface in the sport. It would solidify her evolution from a highly touted junior prodigy into a seasoned, battle-hardened professional who thrives under the most suffocating pressure imaginable. The psychological aspect of this cannot be overstated. Tennis is a sport played on an island. When you are out there on the grass, surrounded by thousands of spectators, there are no timeouts to consult with coach, no substitutions to bring in fresh legs, and no teammates to hide behind when your forehand starts to falter. It is just you, your opponent, the racket, and the relentless geometry of the court. When Eala takes the court on June 13th, she will be fighting a multi-front war. She will be fighting her opponent across the net. She will be fighting the fatigue lingering in her muscles from the past week of intense competition. And she will be fighting the internal pressure of knowing exactly how much is riding on her performance in terms of Wimbledon's seeding and ranking points. Managing these compounding layers of stress is the ultimate test of a champion's mettle. As we look toward the culmination of this upcoming week, the significance of the Berlin Open for Alexandra Eala serves as a perfect microcosm of her entire 2026 campaign. It is a story of continuous, relentless climbing. Every time she reaches a new plateau, whether it is breaking into the top 50, winning a WTA 125 title, or pushing top-tier players to the brink, the mountain simply gets steeper and the air gets thinner. The rewards become greater, but the margin for error shrinks to almost zero. The upcoming matches in the German capital are a crucible that will forge her readiness for the hallowed grounds of the All-England Club. Whether she blitzes through qualifiers with straight-set victories, or has to grind through exhausting 3-set dogfights, every single game, every single point, will be vital data for her Wimbledon preparation. We also have to acknowledge the massive ripple effect her journey is having globally, but especially back home in the Philippines. Every time Alexandra Eala steps onto a court in a major European city like Berlin, she is carrying the flag for a nation that has completely fallen in love with her journey. Tennis has historically been dominated by athletes from North America, Europe, and parts of Eastern Europe. To have a Southeast Asian athlete not just participating, but thriving, winning titles, and actively hunting for a seated position at a Grand Slam is a paradigm-shifting reality. She is inspiring an entire generation of young athletes in the Philippines who are now picking up tennis rackets, watching her matches at all hours of the night due to massive time differences, and realizing that the highest echelons of global sports are within their reach. When the umpire calls play on June 13th, there will be an entire country holding its collective breath, hanging on to every swing of her racket. And the narrative does not simply stop when the final ball is struck in Berlin. The German grass court swing is a multi-week saga. Following the intense battles we are about to witness at the Berlin Open, Eala's schedule has her slated to travel to the Bad Homburg Open, also in Germany, running from June 21st to 27th. There, she is reportedly set for a truly historic and mind-bending team-up in a doubles draw with none other than the legendary former world number 1 and 7-time Grand Slam champion, Venus Williams. Think about the incredible transfer of knowledge, experience, and sheer aura that will occur in that partnership. But before she can even begin to think about sharing a court with tennis royalty like Venus Williams, she must take care of business right now, right here in the immediate present. The qualifiers of Berlin demand absolute, undivided attention. So, what should we, as analysts and devoted fans of the sport, be watching for when the June 13th matches commence? First and foremost, we must watch her physical movement. Grass is incredibly unforgiving on the joints and muscles. Has she fully recovered from a marathon final in Birmingham and the subsequent match in London? Watch her lateral movement, her ability to plant her feet forcefully without slipping, and how quickly she recovers to the center of the baseline after being stretched wide. Second, keep a close eye on her first serve percentage. As we discussed, a high first serve percentage on grass is the ultimate equalizer. If she is serving at 70% or higher, she will dictate the matches. If it drops into the low 50s, she will find herself engaged in brutal, energy-sapping baseline rallies that she desperately needs to avoid. Third, watch her emotional demeanor. The pressure is immense. Can she maintain that icy, unbothered composure that has become her trademark, even as she faces break points or drops a tight set? This is the beauty and the sheer terror of professional tennis. Everything she has achieved over the past year, the victories, the grueling training blocks, the strategic planning, is culminating in these crucial weeks leading up to Wimbledon. The phrase, "all of you are Germany," perfectly encapsulates the absolute, hyper-focused reality of her present moment. The past is irrelevant. The future of Wimbledon is not yet guaranteed, and the only thing that matters is the green grass beneath her feet and the yellow ball flying toward her. It is a scenario custom built for high drama, and we are privileged to witness the evolution of a truly remarkable athlete navigating this incredibly complex landscape. I want to turn it over to you, the audience, because I know the tennis community is incredibly passionate and incredibly analytical. What are your expectations for Alexandra Eala as she steps into qualifiers at the Berlin Open on June 13th? Do you believe her left-handed game and aggressive baseline style are perfectly suited to blitz through the qualifying field? Are you concerned about the physical toll of her packed schedule, moving from a title win in Birmingham straight into London, and now immediately to the high-stakes environment in Germany? And looking slightly further ahead, how crucial do you think securing that top 32 seed for Wimbledon really is for her chances to make a deep second-week run at a Grand Slam? Drop your detailed thoughts, your tactical predictions, and your messages of support in the comments section below. The discussion here is always top tier, and I read every single one of your insights. If you appreciate this level of deep dive, comprehensive analysis of the WTA Tour and the fascinating storylines shaping the sport of tennis, please make sure to hit that like button. It genuinely helps push this breakdown to other tennis fans around the world. Ensure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on, because the grass court season moves at lightning speed, and we will be providing constant, in-depth updates on Alex Eala's progress in Berlin, her historic upcoming doubles pairing in Bad Homburg, and ultimately our massive preview of the Wimbledon Championships. The road to London goes directly through Germany. The stakes have literally never been higher, and the drama is only just beginning to unfold. Thank you all for joining me for this extensive deep dive. Keep your eyes on the courts tomorrow, June 13th, and I will see you all in the next highly anticipated update.